One of the things I want you to watch is how I work this bait with the taps. A lot of people yank them so hard. First off is I keep the rod in front of me. I keep the rod in front of me so I can make a straight tap like that. I'm not jerking the bait. I'm just slapping the line, knowing that that bait is going to react to that line. Just a gentle slap on that line, and this bait will move and will react. And then I'll let it pause. Sometimes, like right now, it's about a 5-second pause. They'll snap again. They're going to hit this thing on the pause. Almost never do they hit it when you're winding it in. I mean, it happens, but under these conditions, 45-degree water, you're expecting the fish just to basically swipe at it or suck it in gently. You might feel a tap or a tick. You might see your line move, but when you go to tap it again, you'll feel the weight. And these are number 6 trebles, and they'll hold on to these fish for you pretty good if your rod is not too stiff. And that's kind of like why I've matched this rod up with monofilament. I wanted a little bit of stretch in there so I could have a stiffer rod, get away with a little bit stiffer rod. This is where the shorter rod comes in, but a 7-foot rod for me is about perfect. I don't have too many issues with this. I can throw it pretty much anywhere. If I really am picking targets, I'll go to a 610. There's one right there. If I was to go to, you see how they kind of swipe at it? All right, come on up. Oh, they swipe at it. They'll slash at them, and you won't get a real good hook into them. And again, that fish ate it. That fish ate it on the pause, as they normally do. Snap, snap, pause. And the bite, when you first get these fish, it just feels like you just hooked into a wad of leaves. So treat everything as if it's a fish until you know it's not. Because I know a lot of times I've been out with guys and they go, oh, I'm in leaves again. And I go, well, you better start reeling. Those leaves are starting to swim away with your lure. And you don't want to lose a Lucky Craft lure. So right now, that weight is in the bottom of this bait. Okay, it's in the bottom. When I turn it like that, it shifts forward. It actually shifts about midship. So when I go to cast it, it drops back. And when I jerk it, it goes this. So when it first hits the water, it's sitting down like this. So I'll snap it up like this, and then it'll go back horizontal. That kind of transition and movement right there will trigger a lot of bites. And a lot of guys don't ever, either they know how to do it and they don't talk about it, or they just don't know how to do that. But that's a little kind of trick that you pick up after using these things for a long time. And working these baits, the motion is kind of like you're shaking hands. You keep the rod out in front of you, let the rod tip drop, lift it up, let it drop, lift it up, let it drop, lift it up, let it drop, and then until you get a good rhythm going. Your hook set is basically just keeping the hooks pinned in the fish. You're not really setting the hook as much as you're keeping the fish pinned. So you don't want to use a really hard hook set. You want to use the reel and the rod together. So you're going to, which is why I like a higher speed reel. These old Corrados are 6.3 to 1, which is fast enough, but 7 to 1 and above is actually a little bit better because you can really load that rod a lot quicker when you use the reel. So you feel a bite and you just keep reeling until that rod loads, and then you just kind of lean into it. Maybe even a sweep, a little bit of a sweep, but for the most part, you're just going to lean into that fish and then keep them pinned. Keep them pinned, because a lot of times these hooks are outside of their face, outside of their mouth. They're stuck to their head, or maybe one might be in the belly, and you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you might think you've got a giant on there, but you really just have it foul hooked, because that's what happens with these baits a good bit. They just sort of slash at them, and they just want to try to get to it before it gets away. Or there's one right there. He hit it on the pause. Going to be kind of gentle with him. Yeah, decent fish. So we'll just be gentle. Yeah, we're going to be gentle. We're going to be gentle with this guy. Again, he's hooked outside the mouth. We're just going to let him tire himself out. Not put any pressure on those hooks. Okay, now we're going to get down and see if we can get this guy out of here. Come here, fishy. Nice chunky cold water fish. And you could tell when you look into their mouths, you can see, look at that. That hook was outside of his mouth, barely in there. This one here on the outside of his head, barely in there. That's all you're going to hook these fish with, just barely. in there.